guys? Welcome back to another week and the Fanatic. Probably say it a little bit later, but we'll get into the conversation with Matt. He just had to go, but I wanted to talk about the Dolphins win tonight. Big win to, I mean, the record's still ugly. I mean, we're sitting at 3-6, not close to Buffalo. Division probably out of reach at this point, to be honest. But weirdly enough, because of how the AFC picture is looking, we're still not completely out of it just yet. Um, it's gonna we're gonna need a miracle run anyway, but wanted to at least talk about this game real quick. So first of all, um, defense. Gotta shout out to the defense. I mean, kept the Rams out of the end zone the whole game, and really impressive to do considering who's over there on that sideline. You got Sean McVay. You got Matt Stafford, Puka, Cup, Kyron Williams in the backfield. That's a really talented team. And for the defense, who honestly, I mean, past couple weeks has struggled a little bit, um, able to get back Sealer. We got Holland back. Kohu came back. Just big names for us. Our core guys came back, made an impact. And I mean, shout out to Calais Campbell too, by the way. What a huge pickup for this defense. But for them to, ball out and hold the Rams to 5 field goals was huge. So just getting into it, honestly, as good of a win as it was, prime time on the road, season on the line, like it still wasn't the cleanest win, I think, even on both sides of the ball. But honestly, the Rams shot themselves in the foot a lot in this game. I mean, that's about penalties, turnovers, just kind of lack of execution for the most part. Definitely a winnable game for them, but just unable to kind of punch it in when it mattered. And like I said, shout out to the defense of Miami. But yeah, huge win. I also thought offensively, still continuing to improve since Tua's return, from the IR. Cardinals game, the offense looked back to normal-ish, that game winnable. Um, but for me in this one, it was that second half where Tua, struggled with turnovers in the first half. Um, I still thought held onto the ball a little bit too much at times. You like just throw it away. That's what we want to see, right? Protect yourself, but also like to not take the big losses that put us at third and 10 plus. But weirdly enough, able to make up for it. I thought one of the biggest plays of the game was the third down. He spins out to his right and he's able to find Raheem, kind of leaking out of the backfield and pick up a huge third down there. That was a huge play in the game. So good to see Tua, keeping his word from that offseason training remarks of wanting to be more mobile, extend the plays, and give his team the offensive play, I guess, a chance without him just sitting in the pocket. So I think he's done that pretty well, and obviously still want to see him slide if he's going to run, but he was on the move quite a lot tonight. I mean, got to give credit to the Rams defensive line. They definitely came after that off our offensive line got banged up again. But, I think that Tua did a pretty good job stepping up when he had to and, converting some critical third downs in that second half when, I mean, to be honest, we needed it. And just coming away with points on essentially every drive in that second half was huge. You kind of felt like, is this just going to be one of those games in the past several years where Miami has a lead or, they should win, should take care of business, and we let it slip away. But this just wasn't one of those nights where the offense was able to put up points. Every time the Rams, came down with a field goal, it seems like we had a response. And I just thought that was so big. Hopefully we continue to see that throughout these next several games. But I just really was happy with kind of the execution. Play calling I thought was pretty good from Mike tonight. I thought Tua was pretty good. There's still a lot of room for improvement, especially with the ball security. Like I was saying, the pick got looks like just confused there. Um, and then just gotta be better securing the football, right? I will say though, can we not tackle with our head? I mean, like I know you probably went down with your shoulder, but bro, please, please, it was like we need you to have any semblance of a chance. I mean, you know this, the whole world knows this, but please, just if we don't have to make a play, let's not. Right? Um, hey, you don't throw picks, you don't got to make tackles, right? Um, but overall, even with Tyreek limited, still looked okay. Catching balls out there. Jalen had a pretty, decent game. Big opening drive. Seems like they kind of took him away in that second half. Had a big drop though that, was a little bit disappointing. Hit him right in the face mask, but um, got some Odell sightings as well. Devon Achan and Jalen Wright and Raheem kind of with a three-headed monster. Gonna get a lot going on the ground, which is a little concerning considering how, effective the run game had been the past couple of weeks. But I mean, the Rams defense I thought was really good. So for Miami to come out, drop 23 points, on the road against a really good Rams team that also really needed a win tonight very badly, like you'll take those. You'll take that, especially considering what this means for the rest of the season now. Definitely still in it. So just wanted to look ahead really quickly here. Um, Miami, we have the Raiders and the Patriots coming up. Winnable games, like point blank period. We're at home. These teams don't have a very good record. I know the Patriots just came off a pretty good win against Chicago, but I just think that, Miami, we should definitely take care of business these next 2 weeks. Um, and so, yeah, I guess I don't want to forecast it out and look ahead too much, but it's all lining up to have a critical Thanksgiving Day game against the Packers to potentially put us at 6-6, assuming we take care of business these next 2 weeks. So I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but yeah, season definitely not over yet. Especially with how tight the wild card race is. I don't know. I think we still have a decent chance. So yeah, overall, good team win. Finally complimentary football. It seems like, honestly, for almost the first time all year, I want to say, because the offense rolling, then the defense started stepping up. It just always seemed like a game, game by game basis there. But now finally, able to play a complete-ish game of football, from both sides. We had a couple takeaways, able to capitalize off of it. And even special teams, Jason Sanders hit a couple 50-yard field goals. That was big, for us. And yeah, I just thought, okay, like we'll take it. It wasn't the prettiest, but you could see the flashes of potential what this team could be. And I just think if we're able to stay consistent, like no team is going to beat us. Honestly, I still feel that way. We're if we don't beat ourselves, I don't, you know, I really don't think a team. I think we should beat every team. That includes really good teams like Baltimore and Kansas City. This is also assuming we're healthy, right? Like if we don't have some of our key guys, whatever. But yeah, I, I don't want to say I'm getting optimistic and I'm a new Dolphins fan. I know what the Dolphins fans have suffered. They get this false sense of hope, they like to say, and they get so close and then it all comes crashing down. So I don't want to get too ahead of myself. I realize there's still a lot of games left to be played, but this was the huge win. I said it last week. Um, this is where the season was going to come down to. And it essentially is going to be every single game from now on. I think needs to be treated like a playoff game because it's almost like if you lose one more, that might be it for the season. Probably lose two, season's probably done. So I think it's just playoff mode time from what is it going to be week 11 in the NFL. But with all that being said, I like where this team is headed. Showed a lot of grit. It hasn't been fun or pretty this season, especially with the expectations a lot of people had about this team going in. But for them to be sitting at 3-6, the record isn't there. I truly do think they are better than 3-6 team. But we'll have to see. So I think we got the Raiders next week at home. Got to take care of business there. Um, let's not mess around, pedal to the metal all the way and keep going. So with that being said, guys, I think now we will transition over to the usual program with Matt. So see you there. All right, Matt. Well, we're back again, another week. You're just saying no baseball for the first time in a while. So,
Crazy.
yeah, I know. I guess now we have to focus on our unfortunate football teams. Kind of sucked all of the momentum when the World Series ended, I feel like, because now it's just, I mean, your team not looking so good.
Stinks.
My team, we're recording early today, so I got the game on my other screen here. So I don't know, maybe I gotta chip in with, or I mean, I guess I'll have done my review before this, right? So, um, but yeah, let's I don't know. Let's get into some other football talk. Sorry if I'm like make remarks as I'm watching the game, but I don't know. I guess we got to start with your Cowboys. With our conversation at least. So obviously, unfortunate news about Dak. Sounds like I still don't get it. He is for sure getting the season-ending surgery. Or
It's
he's
not for
still.
sure.
It's okay. So
It's
it is still
most
up in the air.
likely.
Most likely. Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess that's some, I don't even know if it's good news at this point. It's just news maybe for the Cowboys, but yeah, I mean your boy Cooper Rush gets the start against the Eagles. Um, what what was your take on what was your
Let
take on
me
the game, Matt? I don't
okay,
know.
well, let me say that Cooper Rush, he's still a dog. The game did not play out the way that it was supposed to be played out, I think. But Cooper Rush is now, I think he's 5-2 as a starter now. And both of the times he lost was against the Eagles. So I'm just saying, let's wait another week. Let's see how it goes. But Cooper Rush just struggles against the Eagles. But against Joe Burrow, Kirk Cousins, he has those guys' numbers, but just something about Jalen Hurts that he just cannot beat. So I guess you gotta tip your hat to Jalen there. But it's really it gets more depressing by the week for me because I already thought the season was over after the loss to I'm not the Giants, the 49ers. Because that was that point where we were still kind of teetering. Commanders are playing well, the Eagles are playing well, but we were still in striking distance. And then that game, with the Niners situation, it was like you got to kind of win that game, and we didn't. And from there, the schedule just got way harder. And look at it now. We're now 0-3 in that, or I should say 0-4, because the Detroit game before that, in that kind of brutal stretch. And it's not getting any easier. I'll say that. So yeah, it's tough because this is the first time I think we're doing this podcast where the Cowboys are actually not in contention. And this is early in the season. We're like halfway through the NFL season, so we got another what 9 more games to go. So this is going to be pure torture for me. But this is pretty much what you could possibly expect from the Cowboys to this point. I mean, their talent is not there. Yes, Micah Parsons came back this game, but he can only do so much. And I thought he actually played pretty well. Like the defense was holding up for the first half just enough, but really it comes down to the offense in this one. The 34 points is a little misleading, I think, um, because when you have five, six turnovers in a football game, more than likely than not, unless you're the Lions, you're probably going to lose the football game. And it was turnovers deep in Philadelphia territory. So it's not like you're turning it over, you're on the 50-yard line, you throw a pass downfield, they intercept it, they're down at their own 20-yard line. Like you're fumbling the ball deep in opponent territory and it's short field after short field. So you're setting your defense up for failure when you do that. And especially when you have no Dak Prescott, no margin of error, things like that just cannot happen. But the the offense was terrible, terrible. I mean, I watched enough of it at the
I was gonna
baseball
say I
field.
can't. I was gonna say I can't believe like that's how I know you're not. It's like rough for you because you played baseball over watching the Cowboys. That's how you know it's pretty
Yeah,
bad.
it's
So
bad. Like I'm not. I can't like now see. Okay, not to jump ahead of the game, but I think the Cowboys. Okay, next week they have a Monday night game, so it's not too bad. But the week after that, I think they play. I think it's the Commanders at like 8 a.m. So it's like, do I really? I'm really questioning now. Do I wake up early to watch them possibly get killed 40 to nothing, or do I sleep in? And it's like I feel kind of guilty, even considering this. Like, do I sleep in when I have nothing going on? Like, that just sounds terrible for me, but it's something I have to think about within the next 2 weeks. But I don't even know I don't even think it's Cooper Rush, it's Trey Lance. Like, there really is I don't see what the solution is because it starts off with the running game. We can't run the ball. And when we actually find some kind of decent running game with Rico Dowdle, we try to incorporate Zeke in now, and then that kind of just turns the game. I think this is the end of sadly Ezekiel Elliott. Probably had the turnover of the game that just flipped the switch because Dallas actually had a chance. Micah Parsons strip sack. All right, we're right back in this thing. We got a chance to take the lead down 7-3, and Zeke fumbles the ball at the Philadelphia 5-yard line, goes for a touchback. That changes the game. And just so happens we got a mulligan because, again, I think it was, maybe that was the Parsons one, uh, strip sack. But after that, Parsons gets a strip sack. They recover it. First and goal on the 5, and we kick a field goal. So that's that's 11 points right there. Easily could have been a totally different game. Would have changed how the way the Eagles play called, throughout the game. But from there, I think that was really the blow. And then the third quarter is just when it got worse. It was the turnovers. The Eagles were just, running all over us with Saquon and Jalen. So we're down bad. And there's really not much for me to say. I can't break down this game because it's more of a vent session because we look terrible. We had 49 yards passing. That is absolutely horrendous. That might be the worst passing stat in the NFL this year. That is bad. So, I don't know. Maybe next game I can see, maybe you try give Trey Lance a shot. Who knows? Like,
oof.
no, it's nothing against Cooper Rush at this point. Like, I really don't think like you're not gonna save the season with either of them at this point because the team around it is just not good. So I don't know. The only hope I have now is we lose out, honestly, so we can at least get a higher draft pick. But I'm just kind of like, man, I can't believe we're out of contention and it's this early in the season. Normally, I'm talking about this in January when we lose in the first round against somebody. and I'm just pissed off, sad, but now it just I'm numb to it because it's been going on this entire season for the most part. So I don't know I don't know what to do. It starts with Jerry though. Jerry is the core of this problem, and every time I listen to him speak, it just makes me think like, how can he be the only one that doesn't realize that he's the core of this problem right now? He started the mess. He's got to figure out a way to get it out. I mean, that's the only way because even the NFL, like I saw Mina Kimes had a comment. Um, Rex Ryan is making comments like it's everybody knows it's Jerry, but how can he not realize it? And the fans are upset. Like it's just so obvious, and he's got to be. I don't want to say David Tepper bad or like Dan
Ooh,
Schneider bad, but
ooh,
it's
whoa.
getting like at that point to me where it's like everybody just turning on him at this point. I don't know what Cowboy fan is like, oh yeah, Jerry, he's the man. He might have been the man 20, 29 years ago when we last went to the NFC Championship. So I'll give him that. But that was 29 years ago. I wasn't even born yet. So it's been it's been rough sledding, but I don't know.
What
I think
about
we're cooked.
what about
There's no way we can fix this team.
I'm just curious, Matt. Since you've been to Jerry World, AT&T Stadium, right? I'm just curious, like the the sun, the CD
Yeah,
potential touchdown. I mean, I don't know why. Like the stadium has been around for what is it, like 10, 15, 10, 15, 10 years,
maybe
maybe
close to
now?
15
Something
years
like
now.
15 years now. Because I mean, still a relatively new,
Hmm.
stadium, not one of the old timey ones, but I don't know. Did the sun not always like have an effect on players? Or is it just one of the compounding elements of this season, and now it's just another thing where CD can't even see the ball like
Well, I think
to go catch.
it was for both teams too. Like I think
Okay,
more before like it's pretty strong because I feel like the first Cowboys game I ever went to was the Romo Peyton Manning that
right,
high
yeah,
scoring shootout,
the
and that
shootout.
was like the late afternoon, so it had the sun was a factor. But I feel like in the past it was more the opposing teams were complaining about it, but now it seems like it's more internal than not. But
Mm,
it's definitely been a problem for receivers in the NFL. But I would say as a player, shouldn't as a Dallas Cowboy player, that should be your advantage,
mm,
right? Like I'll defend. I don't want to say defend Jerry, but it's like maybe now it's time to adjust because that's 15 years ago. Like the players that you have now, wouldn't you want to try to help them? Like what's gonna make their job easier? And if your star receiver, who is one of the best in the NFL, is saying it's a problem, I would want to listen to that. That's your players. You're supposed to help your employees as the boss, right? How are you gonna make their job easier? And he's not. He's just ignorant enough to just whatever. It's not a problem. Like listen to the feedback. I'm not saying listen to every single comment, but when a player on your team is telling you something, like you might want to listen to that. But that's Jerry Jones, man. It's his way or no way. So I don't know. I just think that's bad on Jerry's part that he's just refusing to be, you know, open minded to what his players have to say. And Parsons is saying stuff too. I mean, he ain't listening to Micah. Micah's podcast is coming out every week. So yeah, it's definitely an issue right now for these players.
okay. I just was wanted to get your take on that. So I don't know, Matt. Do you want to talk about anything else with the Cowboys, or you're cutting it short this week? Might be a new record of like how little you
Honestly,
spoke in.
like they have, I don't know how many more primetime games they have. They might get flexed out of prime time. Like that's how bad we are. I know
Well,
next week we
hey,
have Monday
Thanksgiving.
night. Oh, there's no way you can get flexed out of Thanksgiving. That's
Hey,
not possible.
we're both playing on Thanksgiving, so
Oh, the Dolphins
I
have the
mean
Sunday night game,
they have the nighttime
the
the night
Thursday
game
night.
against the Packers, yeah. So like I don't know, man. Just
I mean, I guess
I
I
don't even
gotta
know what the
watch the
season's gonna be
Lainey
looking
Will.
like in
I'll watch
two
the
weeks.
Lainey Wilson concert. She's the
Everyone,
halftime performer. So
it's funny because I don't know if you saw the schedule, Matt, but people were already making memes like because the first game is Bears Lions, the second game is Cowboys Giants, and then the
that
third
might be the
game is
worst one.
the third game is
Cowboys.
Cowboys Packers, and everyone, or I mean, sorry, is Packers Dolphins, and everyone's like, yeah, everyone this year go spend time with your family. So I don't
I'm
know. I
just
mean,
saying, like, I really do question. Like, I wonder if, like, I think it would actually be funny at this point because the season is over if we lose to the Giants, but on
just
Thanksgiving.
give America what it
There,
wants already, right? And let
that might like, and it has to be like an ugly game, like 10-9 or 9-6, because it's still Daniel Jones. Like, I don't think that guy can do anything, but our offense looks like complete garbage. So I don't know.
hmm
It might be pretty interesting. They should give Zeke
yeah.
like 25 carries that game.
I actually think people are dogging on the Packers Dolphins because it's, the Dolphins record isn't good. But if you watch the games, at least the offense is putting up points. So I think that'll be probably the most entertaining. I mean, the Bears, oh my gosh, after yes, I I don't even know
Well,
what to
they
say
should
about the
they
Bears.
should
But
they should at least flex the Cowboys game to the earlier slot. At least at least the Lions are playing well. So, they get that. Nobody watches that early Thanksgiving game. No offense to the Lions, but people are, prepping the foods. People in Hawaii are sleeping still. But that
hmm
middle game, the Cowboys game, oh, all of America is watching that. You're either making the food with the TV on, or you got dinner on the East Coast. That's like
hmm
everybody's watching that middle game,
yeah.
and they're gonna have to watch Trey Lance possibly versus Daniel Jones. Actually, maybe not Daniel Jones. They said he's not
Oh,
locked
so
in
Drew
anymore.
Lock versus
Trey Lance.
Trey Lance. What we all expected from the beginning of the season to be the Thanksgiving matchup.
The prime
Oh
time
God.
slot
Oh God. All
with
right.
no Saquon.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll see what it looks like in a couple weeks, Matt. But let's actually talk about some decent football teams for once. I mean, Thursday night game with the Bengals and the Ravens. It's such a treat. Like when these two teams play, I feel like it's every single time that these two teams play, it's just, fireworks. And here, as we have, by the way, kickoff. So I'll be kind of split right now, but
Okay, you got to give your
um,
live reaction if there's a
yeah,
big
I'll
play.
give live updates. But Tua coming on the field now. We got the ball first, so let's get some points first drive. Anyway, yeah, that Ravens Bengals one, Matt. I didn't it feel kind of like a must win for the Bengals though. I mean, they're still not out of it. Like I said, the AFC is pretty weak this year, at least record wise around that wild card position. So they're still in it, but just you expect the slow starts, right, from Cincinnati, and we've seen that from Joe Burrow and this team over the years. But um, I just felt like this was a game that they really needed to win, um, and they had it. I mean, it looked like the defense had kind of figured out, um, how to contain Lamar and that offense. And then in the second half, it's just like, oh yeah, I'm MVP Lamar Jackson, and he just start like this is probably the most in control I've seen Lamar. Like in control, comfortable, no panic. Like even that last, I don't know if it was the last touchdown, but it was the one where he was rolling out to his left, and he kind of just did
The flick of the
off
wrist.
one
Yeah.
foot like flick. Yeah, that just looked so crazy to me. just so like calm, like cool, calm, collected, not worried. He's just playing around, like just playing his game. And I don't know. To me, this might be the most impressive I've seen Lamar. Because what is he at now? Like 24 touchdowns to 2 picks, something ridiculous like that. He's probably on track to win. Well, I mean, I know Mahomes. I still don't know how Mahomes is the favorite, maybe because they're undefeated. But to me, it's Lamar so far. I mean, the stuff that he's been able to do with that offense. But um, I mean, crazy game, Matt. Why don't we just talk about the end though, right? Jamar obviously explodes for the biggest, what is that, fantasy performance in
at least
of the
this year.
year 55 points. What do you have, like 200 something yards, 3 tuds, just ridiculous stuff. And
11
even
for
the
264 with three
yeah,
touchdowns.
and the touchdown, right, Matt, at the end, that Burrow threw, like perfect ball to Jamar. I Let's talk about the decision, the 2 point conversion. I like it. I don't know how you felt in that moment. I'm like, you're on the road. Defense has not been able to stop
Yep.
Lamar at all. So it literally comes down to a coin flip, right? Of like, if it's like, is it gonna be okay, Jalen with the big catch? Big third down conversion, sorry. Um, but yeah, I mean, on the like I said, on the road to can't stop Lamar, right? And it's a coin flip. You're gonna flip the game essentially with a coin flip. You saw that worked out for Baker and the Bucks last week. And I don't know. I like the decision. I just hate the play itself. Oh, is it? See, I'm behind. I'm watching it on. I'm streaming it, so you're on
I
TV.
have a no, I have I'm not watching the game. I have the score like on the
Oh, the
ESPN
score
app.
updates.
I see a change
Oh,
in the
Malik
score.
Washington touchdown.
All right,
Opening drive. All
it's
right.
not Tyreek. It's not
By the way,
Tyreek.
Jalen had two big catches on that drive for like 40 yards already. So
Hmm.
he's alive, heating up at the right time with our trade. Anyway, um, but yeah, the I don't know, Matt. I just don't like how Jamar has been feasting all game on these corners and DBs, and he has the one-on-one, like, because they called a timeout right before the 2 point conversion. They had him one-on-one, and I think it was Herb Street called it out and said, "Oh, they got their matchup. They got the one-on-one." Then they
Hmm.
called timeout. I'm like, okay, maybe they saw something that didn't like, whatever. And then it looks like they have the one-on-one again, and let's go throw it in double coverage to our tight end. And I'm just like, is that our play? Is that Joe missed something? Is that like short of being double covered? Are we not just going to give our best guy a chance to go win the game, who has literally done it for us the entire time? I just didn't really understand that call itself, Matt. Um,
Yeah,
but if
I
we're not going to
agree.
run the ball there, I don't know. I was baffled, to be honest.
I thought everything was playing out like how you were saying. Like, okay, they scored a touchdown. They show the first look. I think it was like, okay, they have the timeout. We'll call a play, but we just want to see how the defense is going to line up. And then the second play after the timeout is their legit 2 point play. So I'm thinking, yeah, okay, they line up. They got Chase outside. They call timeout. I was thinking, oh, yeah, okay, this is the look we want. We'll get back to this after the timeout. And everything was playing out like they motioned as oh yep, the DB's still out there one on one with Chase, and just the execution of the play wasn't the right read. I don't know if that was the right read or not, but I don't know. I don't know. I
They
don't
didn't
agree
even
with that
look at
play
him.
call.
I
Yeah.
couldn't
I
like
would think at worst it's at least a fade route to Jamar. Just let him go up and try to make a play. But yeah, I don't agree with that play call at the end. But the 2 point conversion part, like, yeah, the Bengals defense was atrocious in the second half. Go try and win the game. Because if not, you're gonna, you can go back a week before that. Tampa Bay, Kansas City, they have a chance. Tampa Bay comes down, chance to go for two, they elect to kick the extra point. And then obviously something about Mahomes in overtime in Arrowhead is just forget it. Your offense is not seeing the field. So I
Yeah,
like that decision, but man, it has to be Chase, especially since she was just cooking that game.
yeah. Well, puts the Ravens in really good position, along with the Steelers, who I'm
Keep
gonna touch
winning.
just a little bit on a little bit later, but keeps that AFC North race close at the top. Like I said, the Bengals kind of fall. Uh, I still think they're in it. I still think offensively. I mean, if you got Joe and you got Jamar, like you're always gonna have a chance in these games, but they got to start pulling off some wins because um, I just think the AFC it's so close still around that wild card spot. Um, they need to start winning pretty soon. Like it's November, um, time to start going, right? But let's real quick get to one more game, Matt, here. The Lions Texans, crazy weird game, another weird game. Um, I don't understand. Jared Goff throws 5 picks and the Lions win. Just I don't know. Odd um stuff there. Nice play by Zach Sealer I just watched. So I don't know. The inexcusable, I think, for Houston, right? At home, um, 23 points in the first half, and then nothing in the second half. I know Kaimi, unfortunately, he missed the 58-yard field goal late that would have put them ahead, but I just don't understand what kind of went wrong with that Houston offense in that second half because they were pounding the ball. Um, seemed like they were getting a lot of points off the turnovers, and I don't know if it's credit. I don't know, Matt. Credit to Detroit's defense for stepping up, or is it more Houston's offense kind of just sputtered? I'm not really sure.
Ooh, I don't know. I feel like it's a little bit of both because you have to give not Houston, Detroit's defense credit because a lot of times they're in the red zone and they're just bend but don't break. When you keep teams to field goals, you give yourself a chance later in the game. And just so happened that was the difference in the game. If the Texans punch in one or two of those possessions into touchdowns, we'll be having a different conversation. But I think you have to give credit to Detroit's defense. But I don't know. Is it fair? I think now to say like I don't want to say CJ Stroud is in a sophomore slump, but they don't look
As
as I
sharp,
thought as
mm,
yeah like last year, man. I don't know. Even with this year, I know Diggs is out, but they did get Nico back.
yeah.
But
I
they have
mean,
weapons, like a lot of good weapons, and I would think this offense would be better, in a second year with the quarterback. So very
yeah.
interesting. Like I don't know, maybe it's a little sophomore slump. I don't think he's like a 1 year wonder. I'm not gonna go that
No,
far,
no, yeah.
but CJ has not played as well as we thought, as the fans would say
The
that he would
potential,
do. Yeah.
right? The potential MVP type of season that a lot of
Hmm.
fans were expecting. One of the betting favorites actually going into the year. I don't know if you remember, but yeah,
Yeah.
just kind of puzzling. They've lost now 3 out of their last 4. Um, yeah, I mean, just not sure if it was the Diggs thing. No Nico. Obviously that's big impact players, right? But I don't know if it's necessarily CJ
Mixon.
or Mixon. Like
Mixon's been so good.
yeah, and they've been good. Is it maybe a little bit of a sophomore slump? But like you said, I'm not gonna rule out CJ. On the flip side, though, Matt, I wanted to just say that this win to me for the Lions is a huge statement. I mean, you know, we've seen how last year, especially, right? They won games by running the ball successfully. They go play action and they have so much creativity offensively from Ben Johnson. They get a lead, they get out in front early, and they are able to keep it, right? We saw in the championship game when they got up early and it seemed like everything was going well for them, and then San Francisco comes back, right? Ends up taking the lead. They couldn't respond. That felt like kind of the narrative of the Detroit Lions in the sense of, yeah, they're a really good team, but when that adversity hits, how are they going to look? I mean, I'm not doubting their culture. I know Dan Campbell has implemented a great culture. Um, they're really tough. They fight, but it's different, being tough and then executing when it counts, right? The two different things. And this win to me is kind of like an eye raiser where it's like, oh, yeah, we overcame five Jared Goff turnovers, who doesn't turn the ball over ever, five picks. Our defense held a good Houston, team on the road, to 0 points in the second half. I don't know. This is one of those wins to me where it's like, oh, okay, Detroit, maybe they're not just the front runner Detroit Lions anymore. Like, this is a serious NFC contender. And I don't know, to me, are, I think right now probably the favorites out of the NFC. Like, I've seen Philadelphia, Arizona looks good, but the Vikings struggled against the Jags this week. I don't know. I kind of think that it is the Lions that are
I think so
the
too.
favorites now, right? Especially after this win, like, to be able to win a game like that. I don't know. I got to tip my cap to that Detroit Lions team, and scary, I think, for the rest of the NFC for them to be able
Mm-hmm.
to win a game like that.
Because it's like, man, they give you five turnovers. Like that's like they're handing you a win,
And
and you
I mean,
still
they're
didn't
not,
get it.
no offense, but they're not playing, a bottom tier team or a quarterback. Like, they're playing a good Houston team with a
They'll
good
make the
coach and a
playoffs.
good
They're still gonna make the
quarterback.
playoffs. Yeah,
So it's just like, yeah, I don't know. Okay, so I guess that's it for the NFL for now. Keeping it pretty short, but why don't we get to some college football, Matt? A little bit more interesting stuff. We'll get to the UH stuff, I guess, separately. But um, I mean, Oregon, another, another win, another record for Dylan Gabriel.
I
Um,
know. He
I don't know.
broke
What do you want to talk about with that one?
broke Case Keenum's record, so it's kind of ironic, right? Case Keenum broke Colt Brennan's record, quarterback at Hawaii, and now a local will take it back. So I guess it's meant to be some kind of Hawaii connection having the FBS record for touchdowns, but I wouldn't say Oregon played great. They definitely did not cover the spread. I'll say that. But I don't know. I thought Oregon would have more success offensively in terms of big plays because I think Maryland pretty solid up front, or I don't want to say solid, but their strength would probably be their defensive line. The back end, though, not very good. I think they said some kind of stat that they gave up the most passing yards in the Big Ten. So kind of an area that you would think you would expose even without Tez Johnson with the playmakers that Oregon have on the outside. But it was a lot of, dink and dunk with the offense that day. And I think Maryland was, I don't want to say they were ready for it, but I thought Oregon would take more shots down the field with their speed. And it wasn't really the case. And the offense, the running game was good enough, I would say. Um, but just still not as clean, kind of different standard. Like Oregon's number one in the country, they're winning. Like I can't take that away from them, but I'm being really picky right now because I think this team obviously can win a national championship and they have to be great when they play the big boys. And theoretically, they still could potentially like being really like they can't win the Big Ten because I think they have two more games at Wisconsin and then at home against Washington. Theoretically, if they lost both, they would probably not make the Big Ten championship game. So then now you're just leaving it in the hands of the committee. And hopefully, I would probably think you would scratch the top 12, even losing those two games, but you never know. So I want to see this team continuing to build. At least they have something to play for. Um, with Indiana winning, they're tied with Indiana right now. So if those two teams win out, that'll be the Big Ten championship matchup. But Ohio State is kind of looming there. They still play Indiana later in the season. That could potentially be a play-in game to the Big Ten championship to play Oregon if it plays out that way. So there's still a lot of football to be played left in Eugene, but it just wasn't a clean game. And I think, within these next couple of games, clean things up. Hopefully, Tez Johnson can come back at least by the Big Ten championship. I'll say that. But there's enough depth to get by. But now it's just I want to see perfection from this team. This is not Hawaii. I don't need to be like Hawaii needs to be perfect, but Oregon is a different level right now. This is the number one team in the country for a reason. They have talent on both sides of the ball, NFL players at every single level. They have to be better. And I think they will. I think they'll figure it out. I trust Lanning. He has that way of kind of just getting his guys ready to play. And I think we'll figure it out. But it just wasn't a crisp game. I'll say that for Oregon's standard.
Yeah, and not trying to sound like a downer, Matt, but they played that really good game against Ohio State in Eugene. And ever since I'm just like still every week it's like waiting for them to finally fire on all cylinders, like
That's why. Yeah.
destroy these teams, right? Like we know that they can. So I don't know, just waiting for that big breakout, I guess, for um this team. But I mean, I'm still not worried. I mean, knock on wood, I expect them to win out and go on to the Big Ten championship game. But or is it yeah, Big Ten.
Big Ten.
Um but yeah, I guess I guess we'll see with Oregon. But
I mean, they're
um
playing bad and they scored 39 points. Like I
right.
that's the way I see it. I mean, they got one scoop and score.
Yeah.
So still 31 points on offense on a
Hmm.
bad, not so efficient day. So,
Hmm.
I mean, that's just really, you're really being picky at that point. But
Yeah.
that's the standard that you have when you're the number one team in the country. You want to just be coasting to the
You're right.
finish line. And then when it's time, you're going to get tested if you want to win the national
Hmm.
championship. You got to be crisp on all levels to beat the Ohio States, the Georgias, the Alabamas, right? It's going to take, and now you got to play an extra couple games with the expanded playoffs. So you're going to have to be perfect against top notch competition.
Hmm. Okay. And then one more college team I wanted to talk about, Matt, Miami, who I've been saying, I think we've
Dang,
both been saying the whole year, right? Like,
so
and hey,
happy.
I love Cam Ward, by the way. I think Cam Ward is a great player. Um, love Cam Ward, but I think we've been saying all year, I don't know how Miami was still undefeated up until this point. A bunch of like um lucky wins. I don't want to say lucky, but very
No, some of them were
easily
pretty lucky.
losable. Yeah, very easily losable. Should have lost games. Um, and then finally, hey Cam, can you go bail us out one more time? And finally comes back to bite him, right? Um, unfortunate the fumble at the end of the game, and there goes their, you know, win streak. But I don't know, Matt. What do you think? I still think they're a good team. They're probably going to make the CFP regardless. I think they're a fun
Mhm.
team to watch, but it's just like, yeah, eventually the luck's gonna run out, and you can't
Yeah.
be
That's the
relying
thing that
on
was a little
Cam to
frustrating for me.
save you all year. Yeah, and the ball to bounce your way, but so there's a little bit of like football, the football
The
gods
gods have
evening,
spoken.
yeah, evening things out. So,
I'll say I think they're still
um,
gonna probably get the bye because I think they're gonna make the ACC championship. They'll probably play. I think it's right now. It looks like it's gonna be Clemson, Miami collision. Could be an interesting one, but if they win that, then they get an automatic first round bye theoretically. So
Hmm.
They still control like their big picture destiny, but yeah, it's just like how can a team get I don't know, so lucky? I'll just say it
Yeah.
week after week after week. And I think Cam Ward, I hate to say it, but I personally would say he's the Heisman favorite, even though they lost. Maybe they lose
Yeah.
one or two more, then I don't know. But I still think he's probably the favorite. But I just have a grudge against Miami because it's their head coach, Cristobal. Like, what an ass. Like that's all I gotta say. It's like how can he
Uh,
keep getting away with this? But yeah.
well, anyway, Matt, let's get into some UH talk because, well, we both watched the game this week, and unfortunately, they lost. Like you said, the bowl game isn't
It's
completely
still
gone.
possible.
It's still possible. We're still gonna need luck, but oh, just one of those games, Matt, where this one, similar to that Air Force game last year, it's like a turning point game for the team, for the season, and for Timmy. I think like if they're able to win this game against a really good UNLV team, um, I don't know. I just think it would have been like a flip of, oh yeah, we're here, we're legit, and people have to start taking us seriously, kind of thing. Unfortunately, didn't happen. Um, was the fairly ugly one from the offense. I know we scored, 27 points, but I mean well, I guess the safety was on the punt, right? But um, I mean, 14 of 35. He had 282 yards, but 14 of 35, Matt. Like, how are we that
Even you had a higher
below?
completion percentage in intramural flag football.
Yeah, and I wasn't good either. So like 14 of I just like it felt like we left so many opportunities out on the field. Whether it was from play calling or lack of execution. I mean, he used his legs a lot. I think we kind of expected that, but just ah, and it wasn't just him dropped, right?
Oh my
Um,
gosh, there's this is
from
bad.
Ashlock too, our best, receiver, and I don't know, Matt. Frustrating one just because it would have put us in such good position, right? But unfortunately, couldn't get it done. So I don't know. Just wanted to get your take on the game itself. If any, what like stood out to you?
Well, I think UNLV, right? Like, kind of, they should have blew this game open. Like, they gave up, I would say 20 points. Like, they left 20 points on the board in the first half. And what I can recall, they had the holding on their kickoff return. They had a roughing the passer on a pick six. And then I think there was another one, right? If I'm not mistaken. So I don't remember, but at least those two touchdowns, like that could have flipped the script wide open. Fans would have left after the first quarter. It was just typical UH, right? If they're getting killed, they're gonna leave. But they're just letting them hang around, hang around. That's what you don't want when you're the superior team. Don't give this underdog team any sort of hope, any sort of life. And when you let a team hang around, they're gonna, you know, make it interesting. And UH did make it interesting, but just couldn't get, final stop or the final stop at the end. But I will say this, we were praising the clock management last week. The timeout usage was bad, and that costed him. You cannot call
Ah,
two timeouts for
I just
delay
knew that
games
was
on
gonna come back,
offense.
and
And it's like you already
yeah,
know that the game's playing out, it's close. UH is losing, but it's close. It's like, man, you might just need that extra possession to just have a shot. And they never got put in that situation because we didn't have timeouts. And it's like the way that you can't do that. Like I don't I'd rather honestly take the 5 yard penalty. We can't run the ball anyway, so everybody knows we're gonna throw.
yeah.
But I say you can't do that. And then even the play call, I thought one of the worst sequences of play calling. I don't know if you remember this. I think it was in the maybe second quarter. I think they get a run play. I think it was Sims. He gets like a 9 yard gain. Second and one, they call a pat like a RPO play action pass incomplete. Third and one, they call a go route to the end zone. So I'm thinking, okay, we're gonna go for it on fourth down. I think they punted or they kicked the field goal. I'm like, what kind of like what that nobody does that. If you're gonna throw a deep ball on third and one, that almost should guarantee you're gonna go for it on fourth down and call it run play or a very high percentage pass. But nobody in their right mind is gonna throw a goal ball and kick a field goal. That is the most idiotic call that you could make. like
Yeah.
I don't understand that play calling. And again, just little things like that. Maybe we score a touchdown on that drive. And we were kind of moving the ball at that point. So I don't understand. Like, I feel bad ripping on Chang all the time, but it's like some of these things, it's like you gotta know these things as a head coach. It's like these little things that win and lose game that makes the biggest difference in sports. The big picture, you know, okay. But as a coach, as a head coach, you have to learn how to manage the clock. And you have to be great at that. And situational football, that's the thing. It's not going to be perfect offense throughout the whole game. But when you have your chances, don't let them go to waste, especially when you got second and one and you settle for a field goal with
Yeah.
the play calling. So that was my only two things. That was really, really frustrating. But, we can't, I don't know if we can fix drop passes. Like, I don't
I
want to
mean,
say
receivers
it's
gotta
because
catch the
like
ball. I don't know what else to say at this
you just
point.
gotta catch it. Like that's not. I don't think that's coaching because some of them they're catching it with their body. They're trying to catch it with their hand, and so it's like both ways. It's not working. So maybe it is a coaching thing. But I think, come on, guys, like you're a college receiver, D1 college receiver. You got to make those easy catches and help out your quarterback. So we'll give Braden a say like five more completions
Yeah.
with
I mean,
the
still not
drops,
great, but
possibly more, but his receivers do not help him out at all.
yeah. Well, I'll just say, Matt, I hope they can go on and win out. But yeah, I
But
guess
even if they win out, like do they look like good? Like yeah, they make a bowl
no.
game, but it's like you want them to look good too, right? Like I don't know, it's the run and shoot. Maybe I'm just hanging on to what we had,
Yeah.
in the glory days, but it's like, man, the run and shoot is supposed to be this exciting offense that puts up points. You're throwing it around, spreading it out to your weapons on the outside, and it just doesn't have that same feeling. Like back in UH, the glory days, it's like, yeah, I can almost book it. This team's gonna score 35 points a game. Doesn't matter who
Hmm.
we play. They're gonna score 35 points a game. And the thing is, the defense this year is actually pretty good. They're holding their own. I have nothing really to complain about. The defense has been keeping us in games, giving your offense chances to win games. And other than last week, haven't been coming up with the big plays at the end.
Yeah. Okay. Um, I guess we'll see how the season plays out and we can reevaluate again. Another mediocre season of UH
Yep.
football, but um, okay. Why don't we transition since basketball's starting? You're gonna go watch some basketball later, Matt. I know you already watched the game, but what do you think? Any early season predictions or how we looking in
Uh,
basketball this year?
First, last night's game was exciting. We were there too. Better competition. I said the first game, hard to really make an assessment because Life Pacific is an NAIA school. They
Mm,
don't look very good. So kind of I would really hope that they would kill them. But last night they play San Jose State, future Mountain West opponent now for UH. So kind of good to get them exposure. And then obviously great for them to get a win last night. But it's hard to say. Because I think it's still early. Like whether they win or lose tonight, hard to say how we're gonna look. But I will say the returning players do look better. I will say like Akira. I really do think the Olympics helped him. Like he didn't have a good game last night. I think he missed all his shots, made a couple free throws, but he looks better, like more in control. Like he's playing with a little more emotion. Like I see it. So I think the Olympics, and I think Hugh maybe helped him out, with those battles at Team Japan practice. But he looks better. Cody looks good at the point. Even the newcomers, early stat early signs look pretty good. They got Marcus Green. Kind of biased. I like him because he's an athletic guard, and it's like not often that UH has had that in the Iran Ganat area, but he's a one and done. But
Mm.
probably the biggest star, at least so far through two games, is their big Tanner Christensen. I think he has like 7 dunks
Oh,
through the first, and it's like
oh.
it's just a breath of fresh air watching a basketball game, knowing that you have a guy that's gonna go up strong. And he's not the most athletic guy, but so you kind of look at him. He's like, just another Iran Ganat recruit, right? Just a typical big, slow white dude. But I will give him credit. When he's in the paint, he goes up and tries to dunk it. And that's what I was hoping for any big to do that. And Bernardo da Silva was a guy who never did that. And it frustrated me because if you're 6'9", 6'10", I'm trying to dunk as much as possible against these guys. So it's a breath of fresh air, and it excites the crowd. So I think that's huge for UH. So he's an early bright spot, but it'll be hard to say. Because I think UH still. I need to see them play on the road. Like they play pretty well at home. They're competitive, but they play Grand Canyon on the road, a team that's in the NCAA tournament pretty much every year. And I think they play Long Beach early on the road this year. So that's going to be, or that will be the test to me. It's not necessarily, you know, they play North Carolina this year at home. Probably going to lose that. But outside of that, I think they'll be competitive at home. It's more about how can we play on the road. And the good thing is they have a lot of upperclassmen um, transfers. Like a lot of these guys are coming in, new team, but they're all a couple grad students, couple guys with 1 year of eligibility, so one and done guys. So hopefully that experience will help them kind of like be able to play on the road. They have, a guy from Xavier. So got some big name program guys, I would say, but it'll be interesting. Um, but early signs so far, pretty good. I'll give them the benefit of that. Pretty good so far.
Okay. Well, that's good to hear.
They don't play UP
Hope
this year. It kind of sucks.
Boo. Well, okay. Well, looking forward to the season again, as you feel, Matt. Um, why don't we wrap it up with that? Like you said, it's pretty short this week.
Yeah, we don't know
So
what to do because the baseball
yeah,
fight
so
is
we'll get
depression
more into
stand.
basketball too, I think, as when is the cup? The cup is coming up pretty soon, right? So that's always fun to
I
kind of
think
cover
so.
and
Is
look
it
out
next?
for.
Is it this week?
Um, is it this week? I think yeah, it's coming up for sure. Um,
NBA Cup.
the one thing I wanted to say, Matt, is I think that team in the East, it's gonna be Cleveland to keep your eye on because
It is tomorrow.
I think yeah, also okay. So NBA Cup
Pool
starts,
play
so
starts tomorrow.
we'll definitely talk about that. Because I did like it last year. It brought like that level of competition early in the season to kind of give it a jolt, right? But I don't know, Matt. To me, something's telling me that the Warriors still ain't done. Like I'm looking at the Warriors and I'm looking at Cleveland. Man, they lose play and get Buddy, and then let's just go beat Oklahoma City. Let's go beat Boston. Steph is still Steph. Like I don't know. They're a scary team. I think them and Cleveland are the two teams that I'm gonna probably keep my eye on as the season progresses. I know Cleveland is undefeated right now, but it's just like the defense. Like I was saying with Mobley, they were
Mobley
close
and
last
Allen.
year. They were close last year, and it just seems like the two guys, like the whole team has elevated their game too. Like I love watching Darius Garland play basketball. He is so fun to watch with the basketball in his hands. Um, so it'll be a fun NBA season. I just
Yeah,
hope
and then the
all
Celtics are
these
just kind of cruising and
yeah, and they're
coasting,
just gonna be. I mean, they're still gonna be the team, obviously in the East and in general. I hate that no one's gonna be able to figure out their offense, but I mean, Joe Mazzulla is just a sicko, right? And
Yeah,
obviously, we'll still follow the Lakers, who bounced back
yeah,
after a little skid that they had.
yeah.
JJ
It's
had some interesting
The
comments.
Cavs, and the Celtics, and then everybody else because the Sixers and the Bucks. I don't know what the heck is going on with those
Yeah,
two guys.
they might need to blow it up, which is
uh,
crazy. I don't know.
can
Um,
Dame just get a ring? Like, just want
yeah,
Dame to get one ring.
yeah, send
Like,
him to LA. We'll ship D'Lo out there to
oh
Milwaukee, and
my
we'll take
gosh.
Dame.
I think I
So,
would be a Lakers fan if that happened. That's like my two favorite players on one team
but that
until
Matt,
they
then you're
break it
gonna
up.
be you're gonna be the most obnoxious sports fan. Like you're literally gonna be that guy. You're gonna be that Yankees, Cowboys, and Lakers fan guy. Like the guy that everyone hates. But
I know, but I would be like I'm not like a diehard Laker fan. Like it's like the
yeah, okay.
LeBron, the Dame.
That's probably even worse though, because then you're just
That's
a
like
bandwagon Lakers. Okay.
But it's
Anyway,
not like they're not at least they're not like the Warriors and they're like a dynastic
okay.
team.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Okay. But yeah, we'll talk about more basketball next week. We can shift our focus from baseball to basketball. So why don't we wrap it up here, Matt? Get to our quick hitters as usual. So who you got for our Mr. Jones award?
Oh, maybe I could say him himself, but I'll go in specifically the AT&T Stadium architects, you engineers, like how the heck could you not figure this sun thing out? I mean, how is there no like plan B for dealing with the sun? Like, can we install some kind of blinds or, some tint? Like, I don't know. Like, how can it be that obvious when not just opposing players, but now your own players are saying the sun is a problem? It's been a problem for 15 years, but it's being magnified because we stink right now. So, all I got to say, and I said it earlier, some of the star players are saying who are on your team, it's a problem. Maybe just consider listening to their opinions so you can help them perform better in games, which will ultimately help you win games at home. Because we haven't won a home game since I went to the last home game victory, which is insane last year. That's the last home game they won. I was there.
Oh, oh,
That was December Christmas time. It's November of the next year. That's
oh
the last
man.
home
I
game
didn't
they've
know
won.
that.
Yeah.
All the wins are on the road this year?
Mm-hmm. They want because they beat the Browns on the road. They beat the Steelers Sunday Night Football, that one, and the Giants at MetLife. That's it.
Mm,
And they didn't
okay.
win any. They didn't win any preseason game at home. They lost to the Packers in the playoffs last year at home. I was at the last home game victory, and that was
Jeez.
almost a year ago, which is insane. So, and that was a night game, by the way, so there was no sun. But come on, AT&T Stadium. Let's renovate. Let's make this stadium better for our players.
All right. Well, I'll just say, I can't believe they haven't won a home game. That's crazy. Anyway,
Yeah, since
okay.
I was the I was at, that's the crazy thing. I was at the last home game victory when the lineman didn't report.
Okay. Well, um, let's get to the fan tribute, Matt. I got to shout out Mr. Unlimited himself, Russell Wilson. He gets
Russell.
my fan tribute. You
Okay.
know, two years in Denver, it was rough for him, right? Like it wasn't looking good. Um, I still thought, I didn't think he was a problem, but I mean, it looked so bad in Denver, not sure what was going to happen in Pittsburgh. And he's shown up and balled out, had a huge win against the Commanders, kind of helped you out a little bit. Um, so
Not really. It's over.
it doesn't really matter, but you know, big win against a really good Commanders team. Um, he's kind of rejuvenated that pass game. George Pickens, he looks elite when he's given a chance. So, got to shout out to Russell Wilson for all the adversity he's been through the past couple years. Um, and yeah, good for Russ. Happy to see him. Gonna be fun to watch Pittsburgh and Baltimore play twice the rest of this year. So looking forward to that. But okay, Matt. Why don't you round us out with our sports fact?
All right. We're recording on November 11th. I'll go to 2020 and keep it in a baseball theme because, some of the award finalists came out today, but back then, Shane Bieber of the Cleveland Indians at the time, and Cincinnati Reds pitcher, none other than Trevor Bauer, won their Cy Young awards for best pitcher in the major leagues. Just thought it was funny because it's Trevor Bauer, guy who's in the news a lot for baseball, who's not even in the major leagues at this point, and he's always in the news
Hmm.
somehow. So yeah, Trevor Bauer and Shane Bieber, man. Those are two great seasons for them, by the way. I remember Shane Bieber was absolutely dominant. And then he
Yeah.
ran into the Yankees in the playoffs and couldn't outdo Garrett Cole.
Okay. All right. Well, like you said, fairly short one. We'll get back into basketball as the season gets more underway. But yeah, thanks everyone. Appreciate it. Thanks for watching another week of Fan and the Fanatic. Have a good one. Stay safe, and we'll see you guys next week.